I got a girl pregnant and signed my parenting rights away. Before I begin, let me start by saying I'm fully aware I'm a terrible person and I'm open to all forms of criticism. I, 17 male, at the time was on multiple dating apps looking for a casual hookup when I came across 18 female who lived just across town from me. We had matched and started talking online for about 2 days in this time, and we got to know very basic information about each other, such as favorite movie, music genres, etc. We then decided to mutually meet up at a halfway point in our town and hang out from there. We ended up getting closer to my house and my parents weren't home, so we decided to head over and watch a few movies before getting it on. Me being the young, dumb, full of cum kid didn't think I would need a condom because all of my other buddies had pulled out. Why shouldn't I? And she claimed she was on birth control, so what's the big deal, right? We started doing the nasty, and 2 hours passed where we were both drenched in sweat and go for a shower. As she gets ready to leave, I walk her home for her to ghost me completely. About a month later, she texts me a pregnancy test claiming it's mine. Me being the idiotic kid I blocked her on everything. Problem solved, right? Wrong. The coming weeks were nonstop messages from her family and friends, and even some people from my school were all coming at me for not wanting to step up. After I blocked all of them constantly, the messages disappeared and stopped. I thought it was over. Occasionally I'd get the dead piece of scum message here and there, but I'd ignore it. Fast forward about a year later, I'm 18 at the time, and someone knocks on the door. I go and answer it. I've been served for child custody and support. Not knowing what to do, I fill everything out and go to my first hearing and ask for a DNA test. So I purchase the test and get it done, and turns out the kid is mine. Nobody's surprised it has all my features down to the eyes. I signed my parental rights away and agreed to pay child support according to my financial statement. The entire reason I did what I did is unjustifiable. I know I fucked up, and the worst part is I don't regret it one fucking bit because of the fact that I was able to hide the truth from people that didn't know about my situation. When I had to pay child support, if anyone asked why I was short on money, I'd tell them it's for a sick family member's treatment and medication. Feel free to tell me how horrible of a person I am. I don't regret it, but I know I should. I also know I don't deserve much, if anything, good moral of my story. Don't be stupid like I was. I lied to a blind neighbor and told him I moved away. Many years ago, I was standing on one of my balconies when a taxi driver was obnoxiously blowing his horn out the front and yelling for a blind man to walk toward my voice from his own townhouse. That direction was toward traffic. My roommate and I went down and helped him to the taxi and scolded the driver for being so rude. I made the mistake of giving the blind neighbor my phone number so that I could give him a ride in the future. Then the phone calls came and never stopped. And when I gave him a ride, he would ask for various detours. I'm very calculated by nature. If he had told me beforehand where he wanted to go, it would be cool. But no, we'd be driving along and he'd thrown an extra 2 to 3 places on each ride. And it came to be every day that he wanted rides, and he'd even call me to remind me to give him a ride. Not that I was ever late or backed out. Finally, I had enough, so I gauged how blind he was. His response was that he was blind as a bat. A week or two after he said that, I told him I had a job interview in the next city. A week after that, I told him I got the job and was moving away in a month. After I moved away, it was strange as hell walking by him in silence as he stood on the sidewalk.
Am I wrong for writing something in my journal to expose that my wife was reading it? I, male 29, and my wife is 28. She is 5 months pregnant. I have a journal that I write in occasionally. My wife knows I have one and I told her it's private. I don't have any big secrets, but it's a private space for me to write out some thoughts and give them time to think. A week ago, I started to suspect that my wife was reading my journal. I had written that it would be nice to see a friend again because we hadn't seen each other in over 2 years. The next day, my wife asked me about how that friend was doing and if we're planning on meeting up anytime. I found that a bit coincidental, then I started thinking back on some other coincidence, such as my wife getting me something relatively obscure for my birthday that I had written about. I wanted to be absolutely sure, so last night I wrote a fake thought that my wife was gaining too much weight in pregnancy and becoming unattractive. She's not, she's fit and fine. I know that sounds harsh, but I wanted to write something that was 100% fake. And I never had said or implied something my wife would just ignore. Well, today I went out to get groceries and came home to my wife crying. I asked her why, and she said she can't believe I thought she was overweight and unattractive. I asked her where she heard that, and she threw my journal at me. I asked her why she was reading my journal that she knew was private. She said that's not the point. The problem is what I wrote. I told her the whole point was for me to catch her reading it and how I know she does. She called me an asshole and said I need to apologize. By this time, I was pretty mad, so I said I will never apologize for anything I write in my journal, and she needs to realize that she is the only one who did something wrong. Otherwise, we have bigger problems in our relationship. She wanted me to leave the house, but I refused, so she is staying at her sister's now. I am committed to holding my line and not compromising, but I'm still angry, so am I the asshole? Am I wrong for refusing to do a client with Tourette syndrome's nails? I, 26 female, am a commission-based nail technician, meaning I don't work for anyone but myself and only rent out a chair in a salon, which is where I work. I reserve every right to decline a client with good reason and have in the past. But something about this one is irking that I'm a bad person for it. Last week, a client came and sat in my chair after booking an appointment with me. This client did not state this anywhere in their appointment, but when they sat down and I was about to do their nails, they started to tick. I honestly didn't mean it, but I think I showed a little worry on my face as they explained their condition. They explained they have Tourette's and sometimes they have tics which move their hands. I nodded and they asked if it'd still be okay. I wanted to set a good impression and assumed it wouldn't be so bad, so I told them I would definitely try and ask them which design, colors, length, shape, etc. they like on them today. It got bad. Lately, a nail style, alternating ombre nails, has been going viral all over TikTok and other social media. This style includes blending, French tip, and precise straight lines. Not too hard, but not too easy. I felt bad I said I would try, and so I did. All through the application of the acrylics, way before the painting, their hands were ticking and moving. It was getting absolutely unbearable as I knew I wasn't going to be able to do their nails. Just as I was finishing drilling her nails into a decent shape and starting to paint, my client had a tic attack so bad that the nail polish was all over her hand. I immediately offered to clean it up for them, but they got really flustered and started to cry and sob. I felt uncomfortable, I won't lie. I definitely couldn't continue their nails. I sat the client back down and explained I didn't think this was going to work out and that a more experienced stylist would maybe work for them. I offered them a drink and a refund, but I could see the frustration in their eyes. They started shouting, calling me a brat, a dog, a childish bitch, and then stormed out. Since then, I've been getting nonstop calls from the client's family, friends, and even Google reviews telling me about how ungrateful, selfish, and ableist I am. So, am I the asshole?
The amount of time my girlfriend has spent sleeping has made me stop loving her. She's always slept more than me, that's fine, but lately it's been too much. She falls asleep at say 10 p.m., then wakes up after 12 p.m., some days even after 2 p.m. Then she takes a nap like 2 hours later for somewhere between 3 to 6 hours. I think my final straw was yesterday. She woke up at 9 and then took a 6-hour nap at 11. Then after waking up at 5-ish, cleaned for an hour, then took a 5-hour nap after that. She spent 11 hours of her daytime sleeping. I'll get hate for this as well, but it's affected our sex life. Every time I say I'm in the mood, she falls asleep. I don't mean she says, not tonight, and falls asleep. I mean she just falls asleep. One time, it was the afternoon and we both had off and I suggested it. She was excited, went to bed, and I took time to freshen up a bit. I came back like 3 minutes later and she was passed out. I get that I'm not owed sex, but I'm having a dry spell because she just sleeps. I keep telling her that this isn't normal and she needs to see a doctor, but she refuses. She says I'm controlling because I can't have her all the time. She seems to think that it's normal for people to sleep 20 hours a day. I've just stopped caring now. I can't leave her, but she makes me feel ignored for her bed. I'm lost and I don't know what to do.
I'm with Asel for refusing to pay to fix my babysitter's laptop that my child broke. I'm a single mom of 2 and I hired a babysitter after I started working a new job. My kids are 6 and 8 and the babysitter is 17. She brings her laptop to study, which is perfectly fine with me as long as she keeps an eye on the kids. Yesterday I came home and the babysitter showed me her laptop that got broken by my youngest. I was shocked and asked how this happened, and she said that she left the laptop in the living room and went to make my kids lunch, but my youngest grabbed it and ran with it until he dropped it and broke the screen. I said that it was horrible and apologized to her, but stated that it was her fault for leaving the laptop within reach of the children. She says she thought that my kids were old enough to know not to touch other stuff. I explained how they might have thought it belonged to us since it's our house. She asked if I could pay for it to get it fixed, but I refused and insisted that it's her problem, not mine. She ranted about having exam students and not having enough money to get it fixed. We argued and I had to ask her to go home after she persisted. Later on, I got a call from her dad basically blaming the whole thing on me and demanding I get the laptop fixed.
Am I the asshole for giving my students crabs? I, 28 female, teach at a lower income school here in the States. In the 6 years I've been teaching, I've always had animals in the classroom. I think it's important, especially for students who can't have pets. This year for the animal biology lesson, in addition to having a pet turtle, I decided to invest in hermit crabs. Prior to the unit, I had the kids do reports on animals and used hermit crabs as an example. As the unit was introduced, I revealed the crabs and the kids were so excited. They took turns taking care of them, learned all about them, and named them. After the unit, I decided to pick 3 students to take the crabs home. They all had to fill out permission forms. Am I the asshole for giving my students crabs? They got permission from their guardians and the grown-ups had to come to get the crab. Everything was fine. I chose my most responsible students, spoke with guardians, all that. A week later, one of the students told me something sad happened. Her crab died. I sent her to the guidance counselor to walk through her grief and reached out to her mom to see if I could show her support. Well, wouldn't you know it, according to mom, I'm a total asshole for giving her daughter the pet to begin with. She's been crying non-stop and is devastated beyond belief. It wasn't my place to give her daughter a pet, and I crossed so many lines.